The focus on marketing over the last couple of years has been a microscope.
It's still, you learn something new on every freaking deal. So we can't stop learning.
6-7 years ago, I created a marketing tech stack. You got to be really intentional and you got to have a really strong plan on how you're going to grab what's yours out in the industry.
This doesn't come without this.
Oh my gosh, what am I doing? And people are calling that marketing. We need to be telling the story of how we're really helping people.
Somebody else will think, oh, that's my story. Hi there, I'm Gurfinkel, and here is another installment of my podcast, and I have a very special guest today, Haley Parker. She's a Chief Business Development Officer with Fairway, company I happen to work for as well. Not just work for, but absolutely love, and I hope to retire from Fairway if I ever retire. That's a threat to my family on a daily basis, but doesn't really happen. We'll see. In the meantime, we're going to talk about marketing and honestly, just have fun. So, Haley, take it away.
Well, thank you first and foremost for having me out to this incredible studio. I feel super honored. When did we get a chance, though? We just met really recently. This summer, right?
Yep.
We were at the Forward event.
Yes, ma'am.
In Vegas.
Yep.
And you had on your big old gold badge. And I didn't even recognize you at first because we had so much going on. But you've been at Fairway for how long?
Coming up on 7 years.
Coming up on 7 years.
A long time.
So our paths had never crossed.
Well, I recently migrated from the Pacific Northwest to Fairway Southwest, although most of my business is still in the Pacific Northwest, and starting to build out here.
Yeah.
And can't wait to do more stuff with the amazing crew. And Haley recently got promoted to the Chief Biz Development Officer at the company, where before she used to run just the Fairway Southwest marketing. So marketing again.
Marketing.
I mean, what would we do without marketing, right?
Especially the last couple of years.
Oh my God.
I mean, everybody would have been great, but man, the focus on marketing over the last couple of years has been a microscope, right? For so long, business was turning and business was coming in. And then all of a sudden, when it comes to a screeching halt, every single originator and real estate agent is wondering, oh my gosh, what am I doing to market?
Wondering or tearing their hair out?
Hair out, hair on fire, insert any and every analogy. So it's been interesting to say the very least. We had to get really creative. And as you know, in this industry, there's never a roadmap.
Nope.
You got to figure it out.
We're all with the punches and they keep coming.
We just keep rolling. And when things started to change, we had to get really creative. We had to make sure we were setting ourselves up to provide real marketing value out to our originators and our agent partners that they weren't getting at their competition.
And here's the thing. I mean, I've been around the block, good God, almost 30 years, not my first rodeo. I've always marketed on my own, but I've never actually worked for a group that does this much in marketing and provides this much value in marketing, not just for us LOs, loan officers, loan originators, but also for the realtors that we support and for our referral partners. So this is where the rubber meets the road, where it's not just about doing loans on a daily basis. The loans don't just come in on their own, for God's sakes. Come on. Yep. It's all about what do we do and how do we put our names out there. So I'd say this doesn't come without this.
Oh, that's so cool. I just love how there's just money in the middle of the table. But you know what? That's really what this market's about right now. Exactly. Whoever wants to do the money grab, they can. But it's so difficult to market in today's world. It actually isn't.
But it is.
But it is. Because there's so much information coming at us all the time. The shiny objects are absolutely everywhere. And I feel for originators and agents, because when you're trying to put together a marketing strategy in today's age, you got to be really intentional and you got to have a really strong plan on how you're going to grab what's yours out in the industry.
Exactly. There's too many squirrel moments.
Too many.
And there's too many shiny bullets coming at you and everybody's promising you the world. But how many bullets?
Bullets. But, I'll share a little something with you. The way the team kind of came about testament to John Tobias and Rick Schnauz for pouring into the team, pouring into myself.
They're amazing.
Since day one. Absolutely amazing. Have the best time with them too, by the way. But, many years ago, they saw, okay, this could be a difference maker in an originator's business and absolutely adding value to an agent. But about 5 or 6 years ago, I went out to Housing Wire's conference. I think it was Engage Marketing in Charlotte. Myself, being in marketing and business development, I was overwhelmed. 2 days of listening to speakers and tech and digital and social and everything coming. I'm like flying across the country, back home to the desert, going, oh my gosh, how do we help our originators?
It's like those conferences are like drinking from a fire hose,
Yeah.
as I say. So,
And I'm like, if I understand marketing and I've been in the industry for 24 years, how do our originators make their way through everything? So, 6, 7 years ago, I created a marketing tech stack and kind of just started to bullet point out and really spend some intentional time with originators in our branch and just be like, we got to block out all the noise. These are the things we're going to focus on, and this is how we're going to tackle it. And really, I was just a team of one for a very, very, very long time. And then as we just started to add on to the marketing tech stack, it was like, oh, well, maybe we should bring on this person. Oh, well, you know what? If we had this person on the team, we could really focus here. And as the branch grew and as the area grew, and we went into Southern California and outside LA and in Utah and Texas, all of a sudden, now Oregon, and we have all kinds of things going on. It was, the team of 7 was created, and it's been such
a magnificent 7. Honestly.
Oh, the magnificent 7. I'm so proud of each and every one of those girls, man. Like, we work in lockstep. They are committed to serve, one of Fairway's core values. But it's just been cool to watch this all evolve and, most of all, help our originators and agents during this wild time in the industry. We will come out of it. Sometime.
We always do.
We always do. Maybe a little more scarred, maybe a few more wrinkles, a little bit more laughter.
The battle scars proudly.
But we do. And we all love this industry. And we love helping the dream of homeownership at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, I often, when I introduce myself, I say that the mortgage biz has been my Hotel California. I have tried to check out, but I could never leave.
I never heard that one before.
And I literally have tried to check out a couple of times. And, another reference to the trivia with The Godfather.
Yeah.
Just when you try to leave, they pull you back in.
Pull you right back in.
So it's been my cross between Hotel California and Godfather in that way. But battle scars and all.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
This is what we do, and we're not going to stop just because it gets hard.
Exactly.
I mean, testament to you, Ella. You're always just like continuing to lean in, continuing to learn. And I think that is, people are always looking for the secret sauce, right? Or they think like the shiny object, but it's those 2 traits that you showcase as an originator, showing up consistently, like not being afraid to do a podcast, not being afraid to go to conferences, not being afraid to lean into social is what's going to set you apart. Like, it's really exciting to watch your journey. And I just wanted to say that. And
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here today. But it's tough. But when the opportunity was presented to myself to take on the country, Chief Marketing and Business Development Officer, I have never been more humbled in my entire life,
but
Ella.
Let me tell you, nobody's better suited to the company than you because, let's be honest, probably some people will not like me saying this, but the marketing department that we had before that was national, honestly, just wasn't doing it. I mean, they were. They were working hard, but they weren't really providing as much value.
Wow.
Nor did they, I don't think that a lot of the people in that department actually understood more boots on the ground marketing.
Yeah.
Or as Steve Jacobson would refer to it as the street.
The street.
It was more corporate push.
Yeah.
Rather than we're all individuals.
It's interesting to always hear Steve's story, right? As an originator on the street. And I think that's what makes John a powerful originator, leader, branch manager, president, national production. Like, when you have that street experience, and, I'm grateful that I've had it, and I think the previous marketing department at Fairway was doing a good job, right?
Like I said, they were trying.
They were doing what needed to be done. But man, you got to move quick right now.
Exactly. And you couldn't wait for 2 weeks for an approval on something.
Yeah, and you have to be tucked in to this industry, I think, to be a
Absolutely.
great CMO. You know, there's a lot of people, I've heard some noise out there, you know, oh, you guys should have hired from outside. You guys should have hired here. And, you know, Steve, I listened to his podcast he did with Diego Sanchez on Housing Wire. I just am grateful he respected the loyalty I've had to Fairway and my experience in the street. And I'm really honored and humbled to be like building out something new, something a little more innovative, something that maybe hasn't been done before, something that is fresh, something that is relevant. Like we have to. We cannot do what we've been doing
No.
to survive where we're going. And so
Well, the
it's
definition of
fun to hear that.
insanity.
Yes. Did you see my video promoting Elevate by any chance?
I did not.
Okay,
I'm embarrassed I did not.
I'll forward it to you. It's out on the Elevate page. And as we were wrapping, like we did this whole shoot, but as we were ending it, I quoted the definition of insanity.
Yep.
Yep. I love that you just said that.
And that's really what a lot of the companies, like I said, I've been around the block
Mhm.
multiple times, and I've seen it at other places where they just, yes, they bring people in for marketing from
Mhm.
outside, but the outsiders, I know somebody's going to say marketing is marketing is marketing.
Mhm.
Yes, technically. But you also have to know the industry
You do.
and you have to know who you cater to.
Mhm.
I mean, look at Budweiser, how they botched it. Big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Look at Jaguar right now.
Yeah.
How
Great
they
example.
how, you know, yeah, they brought in the outsiders. Did they know
Mhm.
their market?
Mhm.
Did they know their audience?
Yep.
Clearly not. So bringing somebody from the outside, awesome. It works in some industries. And
Yeah.
yes, marketing skills and marketing strategies transcend or cross over from one industry to another. I used to learn a whole lot from the great Dan Kennedy. I used to go to his
Mm.
conferences where it was people from all walks of life in the room. I mean, we're talking 1,000+ people in the room, dentists, auto mechanics, restaurant owners, you name it. But marketing was something that we all could learn from each other and bring across industry lines, but it still takes an insider at the end of
Mhm.
the day in our world
Mhm.
to cater specifically to what our needs are.
Yep.
Because you can take strategy, but you can misapply it completely. Again,
Yeah.
look at the Budweiser misfiring
Yeah.
on all cylinders.
I was just gonna say too, I'm part of this really cool cohort, if I'm saying that correctly, out on LinkedIn this month. I mean, we talk about you have to keep going the extra mile. I'm doing a coaching. I'm being coached every Monday night from 6 to 7:30 in the month of December after a really long year, but we got to keep leaning in, right? Like I'm like,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to miss this opportunity. I want to hear what this guy has to say. And last night, as we were discussing things, you know, we talk a lot about how you have to show up online as you do in real life.
Yep.
Right? A lot of like what you're just talking about with branding, with Budweiser, Jaguar, all that stuff. And he said, can you imagine out on social if you stood on a chair and you grabbed a sign and you're like, or yeah, in person, and you say, it's National Hot Dog Day? Like that's how you're going to greet your audience in real life. You know, and that's what's happening out on social is so many people are taking canned content
Yep.
and they're trying to market with the canned content. I'm like, nobody's going to relate to that. Nobody cares about the big key that somebody's holding at the closing. They're caring about the story of how the lender and the agent got them in there. Like we can't approach social anymore thinking about National Pie Day or National Red Sweater Day or
Yeah,
whatever. Insert anything.
Let me throw in the cold water grenade. Who cares?
Who cares? I love that. Cold water grenade?
Just came up with that.
Okay, that's good. But who cares? And people are calling that marketing, you know? And like that is not what's gonna move the needle right now. We need to be telling the story of how we're really helping people, how agents are, you know, getting buyers into homes, how you're getting buyers into homes. Like that is what matters.
And that's actually been some of my evolution in video and social content as well. Because first it was, okay, let's shoot a bunch of videos.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, let's tell the story behind the scene.
Yep.
Then it became, you know, let's highlight this closing and what it means, the
Yep.
hurdles we had to overcome. Because again, let's get real.
Mhm.
There is no vanilla transactions right now.
Yep.
Everybody has a zinger. Just
Everybody.
had that conversation with a couple of agents last night.
Yeah.
Every transaction has a zing. Every transaction is a learning experience. It doesn't matter that I've been in the industry as long as I have. It's still, you learn something new on every freaking deal. So we can't stop learning, but we also need to bring that because that will connect with people more.
Mhm.
Somebody else will think, oh, that's my story. Oh,
Yes.
she's speaking to
Yes.
me.
She's speaking to me. You have to speak to one, not many, right? People want that connection. And when they feel like Ella is speaking to them personally, then you will end up speaking to many, right? Because then they're going to tell the next person and the next person. But you have to open up those doors and start having those conversations. I mean, you got to really showcase your niche. You got to really showcase who you are, how you work, how you represent, what you believe in. And then that all translates to trust,
But you know what?
relatability.
That's the hard part, actually.
Mhm.
Believe it or not, marketing is not just spending this to get more
No.
eyeballs. It's not just the videos. It's not just doing the work or pushing out content. The hard part is sharing with the world who you are
Yes, ma'am.
and not hiding behind the facade, because we all know what social media has really become
Oh,
for
yeah.
so many. This shiny facade, everybody is like trying to keep up with the Kardashians, and then nobody really knows about the backroom drama or
Uh-huh.
how shitty their real life is because of the facade they put up on the social. And I don't want to be that person, but it's
No.
also hard
Yeah.
because there is a fine line of keeping my personal
Yep.
life, because I really don't want to overshare. I
Right.
mean, that's the truth.
And you know what though? And I love that we're having this conversation because that I think is one of the biggest barriers that people cannot get
It is
over
huge.
when it comes. It's not about the money. It's like vulnerability. It's breaking through that barrier of fear. And it is possible to have a private life and still create trust and relatability. You don't have to videotape the conversations going on between you and your husband at the dinner table, but you
Thank
can
God.
thank God, or your kids or your
Oh
family, but you
God,
could
God.
absolutely showcase where you are and what you're up to and what you're doing without coming across as unapproachable.
Or showy.
Or showy. That's really important.
Or because that's always been another
Yep.
thing too, that, well, my background, where I grew up, how I grew up, we were always taught to not promote ourselves, to
hmm
not talk about our successes. That was, let the others speak to your success. Don't do the me, all eyes on me.
hmm
Let the world see you for who you are. Getting over that, that's been taking years.
Oh, yeah.
That's a hard part.
It's so hard. I don't know if you heard my other fave guy, Mr. Arjun Dhingra, at the
Yep.
Elevate event. When he was up there, he said, I'll never forget it. He's like, let's hear it for Haley. It takes guts to throw this event.
Oh, hell yes.
You know, I was scared out of my mind, and people around me know that. And I make video about that on social, on my stories. But I love that he said that because sometimes people get the perception, I'm not even just saying me in that example, but just like what you're saying, keeping up with the Kardashians or whatever, is like people just think that like you just so ever gingerly just walk into this and everything
Just
is
kind of
there, falls into place. But no way is that the case, you know? It takes absolute guts. It
Yep.
takes absolute, just a really strong mindset to break through it. And to me, one of the secret sauces of that is to just know your why. Right? When you know what you do and why you do it, that is just makes everything else easier. And so if I was to give any advice to any originator or any agent is to just continue to be so strong about why you work so hard every day. And then the rest will come because when your why is strong enough, the rest does fall into place. But when your why is based on superficial things, or your why is just based on the dollar, it's not going to equate. But if you truly love what you do and the people you serve and the industry you're in, showing up on camera is going to get easier.
See, I'm glad you brought it up, because this, like, I've been telling people for ages now that the reason I'm in is not this.
Right.
This follows the why.
Correct.
You do right by people.
Yes,
You
friend.
get your absolute amazing emotional boost from putting this one special family into a home, and then the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. Or when people come to you and say, well, I've been declined here and I've been declined there, or this is, impossible. And you tell them, no,
Yeah.
give us 3 months, do this,
hmm
follow the yellow brick road, as I say, and we'll get you there.
Yeah.
And getting there
Yep.
is what makes me tick.
Yep.
It's not this.
I know.
Because the people who are in our industry just for the money part, you can tell. The smell of desperation.
See right through it.
Actually, one of my agents just used this phrase the other day. 'Cause I just closed on a deal, but unfortunately got delayed for a number of reasons on the closing. Not proud of, obviously closing late, but it's life. It happens. And the listing agent just kept calling and hounding. And yes, there was a story behind it too. But also when I looked up his production, he closed 2 deals in the last 12 months.
Oh boy.
So as my buyer's agent so aptly put it, commission breath all over it.
For sure.
It's not
That's a good term.
right.
Yeah.
It's like she should patent it. But you can always tell when people are in it just for the money. You can always feel it. So when I connect buyers with agents, I make sure that I connect them with the agents who are in it for the same reasons that I am and not for the commission breath.
Yeah,
That they're
absolutely.
so freaking desperate. Desperation drives people to do some crazy, crazy shit.
So what are one of the things that you're focused on when we're just at about a new year? What's behind Ella? What's going to be the big audacious goal for you in 2025? Because I know you have one. I know you do.
It's definitely not retiring. Although I don't know. I'm a lifer, so I'll be in it for as long as I can be. Just because, like I said, you can't give this up. You can't really just up and quit one day. I think my biggest goal is to build out as big of a following here in Arizona as I have built out in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
Because most of my business in the PNW is referral business, a lot of repeat business, a lot of relationships that were built over the years. That's the hard part about moving across the country, basically. I would love for nothing more than to have the same type of following here in the Southwest.
Okay. So
that's a huge ass goal.
It is, but you are somebody who has a huge heart and huge determination to help all. I know we're going to get you there. You're going to get there yourself.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. How long have you been out here in Arizona? Remind me again.
So it started out with snowbirding.
Okay.
We almost bought a house here. I wouldn't say on a whim entirely, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It wasn't in our plan.
Yeah.
It was never in our plan. And then it's just going to happen during COVID, of course. We started coming here, and like every time we came here, that was almost 3 years ago. When the first time we came here, we felt like we didn't want to leave. It fell in love with the desert, fell in love with the mountains. There is nothing like waking up to the view of the mountains from my home.
I love that.
It is seriously
I can relate. Those McDowell Mountains are my favorite.
I mean, seriously.
They're my favorite.
Not love that.
And when the sun sets and they turn that certain color purple.
And the colors of the sunsets, holy crap. I mean, that's like, I've never seen anything like that. The second season we spent here, it was like, okay, we're making a plan to move. Now we've been for the last couple of, this season 3.
Okay, season 3.
And we're now spending 8 months out of a year here. So we're officially Arizonans.
Okay.
And
welcome to the great state, 48.
Love it. Slowly making an exit out of the Pacific Northwest. And yes, I'm saying that out loud. Yes, it takes guts because for the longest time, I didn't want to admit it to my base back there.
Yep.
But the time has come. And after 35 years in the PNW, I love the PNW.
Yeah.
But I love this more.
The beautiful thing about the seat you're in is you can continue to serve up there and help up there. And you have been. So that is so great. And I love that about this industry too, because it gives a lot of flexibility to a lot of real estate agents and lenders. Like you can create a beautiful life and career by being able to make those moves. A lot of times people can't, leave where they're at, move to another state and still do their business.
I was terrified of that for years. We talked about when we started talking about moving. That was terrifying to completely uproot and start over.
Yeah.
And one of probably the best positive outcome from COVID. I'm not downplaying the tragedy of COVID and all the insanity, but one of the positive outcomes has become working remotely.
Absolutely.
And being able to do what we do from anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world.
So
yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I that freedom is pretty incredible. And it's so fun too, being here in this studio. I'll share a fun fact with you about Arizona. This Scottsdale Air Park area, I grew up right down the street. So lived here my whole life, and I learned how to ride my bike in the airport. I learned how to drive a car for the first time out here. So it's just so fun to now watch Arizona continue to grow and more people love it. I'm like, this is just home. I mean, this was like a one road, Scottsdale Road, one lane each way. The Weston wasn't even there, Kierland. And, now it's just turned into just this incredible state, community vibe, energy, and love that you're here. Love that you moved down here and we get a chance to work together.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, I remember where I learned to drive, back in Portland and all of that fun stuff. But it was amazing. Like I said, from day one, basically, getting here. It's like you're coming to this strange place that you've only been to a couple of times, and it feels like home.
And the cool thing is, too, there are so many people that do move here and that you're able to help them navigate what that journey is like.
Well, the fun fact, actually, that we've learned by now, just hanging out in the neighborhood, meeting people, talking to like anybody and everybody. Yeah. And if you think I'm social, you haven't met my husband. That's like Mr. Social steroids, is that there is a very small percentage of people who are actually like natives.
Yeah.
Everybody else is from everywhere.
We know.
I'm shocker.
We know when you've lived here your whole life, you know how rare that is. And it is crazy rare.
The only or very, well, so far, I think you're the exception or one of them.
Yeah. Ashley Corona, Rick Schnauz. There's a few others that are, tried and true.
Natives. Because, like I said, the only or the majority of the natives that we've met so far are either teenagers or because they were born and raised.
That doesn't really count. Right? That's so good. I like it.
Or the millennials. Anybody who's like past the age of millennials and are closer to our age or older, they're from somewhere else.
Yeah. It's so crazy. So my son goes to the same high school that I went to, and it was not planned like that at all. It just ended up happening. But there are some pockets of communities around the Valley of the Sun where a lot of my high school native son parents, they're from here too. And so I think there's like these certain spots, age groups or whatever, where like some of it, but everybody's from somewhere else. I feel so bad for the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, for the love. I just want that stadium red. When those Seahawks come to town. Oh my God. Don't even get me started. Just kidding. I digress. I love sports. I love football.
No, it's all good. But actually, I do love that about here. Because everybody is from somewhere else and you're not judged.
Yeah. Totally.
And you can strike up conversations with people and like everybody has a similar story or a lot of people have a similar story.
Yes.
So,
well, I hope we keep striking up a conversation. I want to come back here.
Yes. Let's do that.
Can I?
Of course.
I would love to. Like, I literally can sit here and rap with you all the time. But, of course, like, I got to jump to the next thing. I know you do too. And I just am really grateful for the invite. It was really humbling to receive.
It came from the heart.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And it's just having honest and open conversations.
Yeah. And I hope this was worth the time. And we'll just like pick a different topic and wrap next time.
Hell yes.
Sound good?
Sounds awesome.
Thanks for moving.
Let's do it.
Thanks for moving to Arizona from one native to you now, not just a snowbird, but pretty soon full-time resident.
Thank you from the heart.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for watching. See you on the next one.